Good morning, spiders. Let's see. I wonder if Evie is still in here. Evie? You mind if I come in? I believe they're out right now. Yeah. They did have to go collect more blood, I suppose, and other things. I'm sure she'll be gone for a while, but it's very nice to have company. Speaking of which, why hello there.
Was there a doorbell? Did I miss the doorbell?
No, you came in the right way.
Oh, okay, cool. Hello.
Well, there's someone I haven't
look
seen in a very long time.
Alois. Alois?
Yes, Alois
Weren't
Rothmore. At your service.
weren't you supposed to be dead? Thought you were supposed to be dead.
Yes, well, I was dead for about 200 years. It's a recent development, really, me being alive again. Well, not alive, but you know what I mean.
What? Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't die. I got frozen for 100 years, but I didn't die. So that sucks that you died. Sorry to hear that.
Well, it was only a temporary inconvenience, luckily.
That makes a lot of sense. So I just wanted to come. I'm trying to get a lay of the land for the vampires, and I've been out of it so long. Everyone's so scattered, and no one talks to each other, and things have changed, and it's weird, and I don't like it. So, making the rounds.
I see. Yes. Well, I myself am quite unfamiliar with some of these younger vampires that have been sired more recently.
Yeah, I can't say I know them quite well either. Asher seems to like them, but I mean that's, I guess, something. But they're all just meh right now. They need training, discipline.
I quite agree. Yes, Asher does seem to have taken up the role of the soft-handed leader, and I don't exactly believe it's doing the vampires much good.
I don't even know if I'd call it soft. I mean, soft is less tortury than Asher, but...
Yes, there's that, I suppose,
But I think there's just... Asher doesn't know the best way to... convince, if that's the word. But I guess that's always been kind of my job, isn't it?
Yes, you were his second, I suppose. I don't know how you feel about being usurped by the young Kaza.
Oh, I have no fear over Kaza. I am irreplaceable in all things.
Oh, I'm sure you are. Actually,
Kaza
of familiar... yes, quite.
Oh?
Speaking of familiar faces, I have one staying here. Well, they're not in at the moment, but I don't know if you remember Evangeline, the Rohan.
I've heard the name before.
Because, well, you see, I've converted some of the old cells as a room for her, and she's staying here at the moment, but she was herself trapped in a crypt by hunters until very recently, so yet another spectre,
I see.
Another ghost from the past come to rejoin us in the land of the living.
The name sounds very familiar, but I've also been... I don't know what to call it about my memory. I don't not remember things, but I also forget them until I see them. So I'm kind of relearning everything, but
I understand.
The name sounds familiar. I believe I saw a house about it.
That could
With
be
the name.
possible.
There was a mage tree there, so I took notice.
I don't recall Evie having any hand in magic, but who knows? Perhaps it's something that happened after I died. But yes,
Quite possibly.
I share your sentiment that. Well, I'm sort of glad, really, that those 200 years of being dead for me were completely unconscious, whereas Evie was completely conscious for as long as they were trapped down there in that crypt, and I dread to think what sort of horrors they faced.
Is that so? They were?
Yes, I suppose the constant fear of being found by more hunters and then finishing the job is something to keep you awake at night.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it is, isn't it? It's definitely not a fun thing being able to see everything move around you, yet you're stuck, just waiting, hoping something or someone will release you.
I'm sorry if I've brought
Sounds
up
awful.
some bad memories for you.
Oh no, I'm quite content with where my life has been, but the poor girl, I can only imagine.
Yes. I suppose the least we can say is that we're all free and out and about again.
If you call a treaty free.
Oh, don't even get me started on the treaty.
I was just given it and told this is what I have to obey now. It's dumb.
Such a bore, darling.
But
such a bore. But
I'm trying to be on my best behavior, as far as I can at least, but there's so much temptation out there.
Yes, I wish I could say the same. I had a rather unfortunate little incident with a recent fledgling of mine.
That's so.
Who's managed to escape.
Your fledgling escaped? Is this a normal thing for you?
Well, considering that out of the two fledglings I've sired in my entire lifetime, and they've both escaped this place at some point, I would say yes, it is quite normal for me, rather unfortunately.
Well, you know what they say about fledglings. They're really just, we sire these fledglings, and typically they like to, they like to turn their back on us often, don't they?
Oh, quite. I suppose the fact that they were both sirens didn't really help ease the temperament of a brand new fledgling.
That would do it, wouldn't it? I've always tried to only turn those who have nothing left and or want it, because it's just much easier to train them that way when they aren't fighting being here. But then again,
does seem quite an effective strategy.
Well, I've always been one for being effective, but since I've been gone, it seems Asher has taken a different course. Arena after arena, I bet they're thrown into, sunroom after sunroom, and yet they don't learn.
Yes, I find this Asher a lot less predictable than the old one, which is rather annoying.
Yeah, it's Even worse when you're supposed to be his pet, and he, I don't know, is being weird as of late. Ash has always been secretive, but when it came to me, there was at least some level of openness. But now he's hanging out with people I never thought he would hang out with. And he's taken on fledglings that I never thought he would take on.
Yes.
And on top of it all, he has signed a treaty putting away our rights to be what we are.
Yes, that's what surprised me most of all, the fact that this once great butcher would reduce himself to writing treaties, for goodness sake.
Yeah, that does make me very curious how that came to be. Do you happen to have any insight you could share?
Well, I've been trying to piece the things together. I've managed to speak to the young Kaza for a short while, but he didn't get the chance to tell me very much. He doesn't seem to have the best of relationships with his sire, and I didn't get very much information
Really?
out of Mara, my fledgling, the recent one, either.
You said their name is Mara.
Yes, they're a folk.
Can I ask a question?
Of course you may.
What takes you on to create a fledgling? What drives you in the act to do it? See, for me, it's always been there are people I want in my, well, I guess you could just say in my possession.
It's useful to have pawns, I suppose. Well,
I don't consider them pawns. I consider them vampires. I mean, the more of us, the better, right?
yes, I suppose the world would be a lot simpler if everyone was simply a vampire, feasting in immortality and bloodlust.
Freedom for the vampires is all I've ever wanted.
No, the thing that, well, to be honest, Mara's turning was really a spur of the moment sort of thing. I didn't expect to turn them. I was simply going to use them for information and perhaps have some leeway in the faction, in the Summit Council that doesn't require me to rely upon Ashers, and lo and behold, that they were here, and in the spur of the moment, I suppose it was the hunger of not having had a true living prey in over 200 years that had something to do with it, and I turned them rather by accident, I would say.
I see. And they left, you said?
Yes, while I was out talking to Kaza and Asher showed up, well, I was stupid enough not to post any guards in here while the turning process was being completed, so by the time I was gone, my little fish had swam upstream.
I see. Well, it happens to the best of us, I guess. We can't keep them all. I've quite lost a few myself, of course. Happens. And what if this is this, what's name? This Percy? And the
Percy.
birds.
Yes.
The avians, as they are.
Yes,
I'm quite new to the concept of them. Still
yes, they do rather...
figuring out what their place is.
Yes, they do rather interest me, because it seems that this Percy of which you speak is the present custodian of my only other fledgling. The bird one. Io.
Oh, how you're tied between two opposing forces, aren't you?
Yes. It is rather an unfortunate situation, but I hope if I get the chance to meet with his Percy that things can be resolved in my favor.
And meeting with this Percy, aren't you worried about what that means for the vampires?
Well,
I'm quite aware of how you feel towards a younger generation, and despite me being older, I'm still quite young, I guess, in your eyes.
Well, I suppose.
But how do you feel about vampires, I guess?
I think right now we are in stagnation, I suppose, and have been for quite some time without a leader with ambition. Then again, I suppose it's better than the sort of ambition that Chiron fostered back in his heyday.
Yes, well, Chiron seemingly always did things with almost no reason, or if it was a reason, it was never shared. And I guess Asher's not very different these days.
Yes, he does
but
seem
it's
to have grown to become quite like his old man.
It has seemed to be the case in some instances, I've noticed, and while I see the concern and I could see why you would be concerned, just do remember, we are all vampires, and leader or no leader, we have every right to be free and do what we want.
Oh, I can assure you that everything I do and everything I have planned is purely for the betterment of vampire kind.
Okay. Well, I guess I can accept that there. It's been interesting meeting new people after so long again and reuniting. I feel I have a much broader perspective that isn't just
Yes.
what it used to be.
I'm always happy to see a familiar face. There are so few of them these days.
I agree. It is quite tiresome to get to know new people.
Quite.
I've had to talk to more people than I've expected to. I mean, Kaza seems fine to talk to at the very least, but the people Kaza hangs out with, they tend to be super on edge all the time. It's quite not fun.
I can't say I'm familiar with them, but I believe I'll take your word for it.
Yeah, they are, as you said, much younger. They definitely need to be trained. And, well, at the very least, be told how things should work and what we should expect. They want to be friends with all these different beings, but all these factions want us dead, so why be friends with them?
Yes, quite it does seem.
But if they don't want us dead, and they just want Asher dead, then why all this what's the word? Fanfare that keeps happening? It seems more and more that it's just us as a whole and not who our leader is anymore.
I do get that impression, yes.
Well,
I suppose the war has left deep scars in people's memory.
yeah. Well, I don't know what's going to become of your two fledglings, of course, nor do I know what's going to happen with Asher or Percy or, I mean, God forbid, Paris. I think you should just be careful.
Oh,
I'd hate
trust
to
me,
see a fellow vampire
after being dead for
slip
200
up.
years, I've learned a thing or two about taking more caution than needed.
It's always good. Can't ever be too cautious, as I say.
I quite agree, yes. But I hope that someday soon, when this place is back in its old glory, we might have a gala or something to get the vampires back together. Evie does seem rather fond of that idea.
That would be quite nice. It has been a minute since we've, I guess, socialized amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
It would be quite nice to maybe, hopefully, at the very least, try to unite us on a united front. It seems Asher's secrets are keeping him at an arm's length from all of the vampires around him. And I'm watching it crumble. I don't know how Asher did this for 100 years without me.
Yes, I suppose. In the shadow of every great leader is a great second. And without that second, how great is a leader truly?
I guess you're right. I think Kaza could be a good second. I sure as hell don't want the job back, but... well, I still work in the shadows as I always have, of course. That's the reason so I guess the only reason I even exist at this point, right?
Yes, I suppose. I wouldn't envy Kaza's position either, but then again, that sort of speaks for itself given the relation Asher and I had before.
Yeah. Well, we could... we could at least change the way things are amongst us vampires. I think that would be quite nice, to be honest. Maybe a gala or a ball or something, anything. Just to show that we are still on the same page. At least in the fact that we want to all be free.
Yes.
You can take the older vampire mentality of the freedom being so that we can do, well, the not very liked of things, but for the younger vampires, free could still mean they could have their little friends.
Yes, I quite agree. Now with all these walls going up, I can't imagine the factions are all too pleased among themselves.
Yeah.
With their own respective leadership.
And if we are to be stuck within these walls, well, we should all get along, shouldn't we?
Indeed we should.
Well, maybe I'll stop by again and talk to you and, well, maybe get to talk to this Evie you've talked so much about. And we could plan something. I'm sure I could convince Asher.
It would be very nice, yes.
Sounds interesting to me as well. So, this is a pretty empty castle due to the ruins I've seen. Are you You have everything you need here.
Yes, well, the least I can say about Asher's rulership is he has provided me with ample means, both in materials and labor, to rebuild the place.
Yes, I guess.
I'm thinking of turning this grand hall into the new dining room. You know, we used to have one upstairs, but I think this place would look wonderful with a nice large table in the middle.
I agree. Maybe a nice red carpet.
Yes, quite.
Yes, I think this could be a brilliant castle once again.
I do hope so. Every minute that this castle remains in this state is a stain upon my family name.
Yes, the Rothmores.
Gone all but
I can't say I've ever really understood vampire legacies as someone turned myself and, well, being a pet for as long as I have. It's always seemed rather pointless, to be honest.
Yes.
So
I find as I get older, I'm amazed by the point of human legacies. I mean, you have so short a lifetime. What's the point? What's there to preserve?
yes. Honestly, the longer I've lived, the more I say, what's the point of a lot of things? Do what you want, and just do that.
Exactly.
Well, okay. I feel better about us talking, I should say. Not that I was worried to begin with, but, with the lost memory and reconnecting with people, I don't know how many enemies I've made, or friends I've made, or if neither or.
I hope friends for your sake.
I do too. I doubt I've made any vampire friends, or enemies at least. I'm quite fond of our kind. If I can get us to all get along and turn our hatred towards those who are actively making us out to be monsters, well, then I can say I've done my job.
A noble effort, I would say.
Noble is a very good word for a very selfish act, I would say.
Well, is it truly selfish?
Well, if it's so that I can just not have to do anything and live my days freely, then I would say it's quite selfish. But I guess there can be a fine line.
If it allows others to share in the same revelry, then...
I guess. I've never really thought about... But I guess you're right. It is at least a nobler cause for the vampires. Not so much the others.
Well...
But I don't like to consider myself one way or the other. I think I just exist to exist. That means I have to kill one person or thousands to exist, then so be it. And when my time to not exist is up, well, what can you do?
Yes, I was quite ready to accept my death, but with this new chance to make something of myself, I'm very determined to take it with both hands and make the most of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. The will to live is sometimes subconscious even. Or maybe it's a cruel joke. Who could really tell?
A desperate reflex installed by Mother Nature.
You can say that again. I thought I was a goner multiple times in my existence, but I keep coming back, so who knows?
Well, I'm certainly glad for it.
Thanks.
Of course.
You know, I think this is something I've noticed, at least myself, but it feels like us vampires really are on the same page.
I agree, yes.
It's kind of exciting to think about. We haven't been in so long, you know, torn between two reigning leaders. One we'll say, much more serious on the discipline side of things, kept things in line, but, well, not liked at all. Feared beyond all belief.
You can say that.
And now we have one that is feared by many other people, but us vampires are so scattered, and drastic differences in time periods. And it seems the most of us that remember things have all been away while Asher's been left to play with the younger ones. So I think now that we're back, it might be time to show that there can be balance. Let's all kill for the same reason, right? To survive? And for a little bit of fun and sport. But we won't tell the others about that one.
Indeed we won't. And besides, it's not as if the avians didn't do horrible things during the war, or the hunters slaughtered countless mercilessly. There truly are no innocents in this world.
Yes, well, the hunters are another story entirely. Sole focus to kill us, what nonsense. As for the avians, I guess I haven't met many, or any, if I can't tell, but if I did, it was definitely long ago.
Well, I can't speak for too many.
So I can't really say where they lie, but...
No, I can't speak for too many avians myself either, but having been the one responsible for maintaining diplomatic relations with the Avian Council, they were ruthlessly pragmatic in a way that, well, rather reminds me of, dare I almost say, Chiron himself.
Intriguing. Oh. And yet we're the villains. That's quite a laugh.
I know. The world is one great double standard.
I think I've gotten a lot of information that'll help me navigate meeting more people, but I gotta say, I was not expecting to enjoy our conversation as much as I have. It's quite nice knowing that there are other vampires who think the way I think.
Well, I'm always glad to be of assistance. Certainly to an old, dare I say, friend.
Still quite unfamiliar with the terminology of friends and what that means, but if it means sharing conversations like this, then I would say that's fine.
I suppose it's a holdover from my human side to call anyone a friend.
I can't even say I had any of those when I was a human, so I'm unsure what it all means, but
Oh,
I guess I
sorry to hear that.
call Veer as a friend, and we just chat most of the time. Usually it's stuff I don't understand, but
Yes, the world is confusing now more than ever.
yes, that's more true than you know. But it would be nice to come back and chat, and we could talk a ball or a gala, and
Oh, yes, that.
I definitely should meet this Evie. They sound like they've been through a lot, and well, the poor girl must need someone to talk to about it.
Oh, I'm sure they would appreciate the company. Please allow me to show you out.
So it'd be lovely.
Luckily, it's nighttime, so you don't have to worry about.
A long stairway you have here, but I guess it makes sense for the openness to this.
Yes, interesting little piece of architecture that, but
Yes.
it's older than any of these parts of the castle by at least 1,000 years. It's very interesting, I find.
I'm
I shan't bore
glad
you
at
with
least
ancient
something
history.
held up. I quite like history and knowledge in general, but I do have somewhere to be, so maybe I can come back and you can tell me more.
Of course. I won't hold you up, but I'm certainly glad we've spoken.
No, I do appreciate it.
Until we meet again, then.
Yeah, I agree. I will probably be back soon to talk to this Evie, and then we can plan a ball once I've talked to Asher. Oh, this is not the way out, this way.
Yes, there you are.
Okay.
Goodbye then.
Well,
Until we meet again.
I shall see you. Till we meet again. Oh, my book.
It's certainly nice to see them again. Yes, it's fun. A great joy to know that there are still those vampires out there. Share my views for a world that's kinder to vampires. Well, I suppose the next thing, since I still can't find any sign of where Marta could be, would be to find this Percy who has the current custodianship over Io, and see if I can get myself on friendly standing with him. Yes, I think that will be my next move, or soon enough at least, but not for today. Very well then. I hope Evie's back soon as well. I wonder if she remembers anything about Snow from the old court days, but that's a question for another day. Until we meet again, spiders.